I've had people come into my base with, um, you know, three drills, I think it was, for the sole purpose of destroying my base. But thankfully, I had enough guns to take them out, and you know, then they've never been back. So, but one of the things that I think we're probably going to do is I'm going to talk about doing a server reset. Because right now things seem really kind of crowded. I think I'd like to get a map that's a bit more spread out. Right now, all of the asteroids are in a kind of a tight cluster. I think I'd like to post some larger asteroids further out from spawn. Maybe do like a cardinal direction thing where you go in, up, down, left, right, X, Y, and Z, and just put a couple of large asteroids and then some smaller ones in the middle, so that you've got a place where you can go and maybe get some resources and then go out and explore, that type of thing. I think that'd be kind of cool. I think one thing I'd like to see is maybe like cooperative gravity generators. And what I mean by that is, like, right now you can have like regular gravity generators all together and get like massive acceleration, and people are using it for gravity drives basically. And not to take away from that, but let's say you had a giant asteroid and you wanted spherical gravity to kind of mimic what you would have on a planet. Well, basically you'd have to go into the very center of that asteroid and place a spherical gravity generator, but it only has a 400-meter radius. Or actually maybe 400-meter diameter, which really isn't very much. If it's a 400-meter diameter, that means if it's more than 400 meters across, you've got no gravity on the outside. So kind of, if you could make a single spherical gravity generator as a master, and then have another one next to it to basically boost its signal. Now, of course, you would have to deal with the fact that as the sphere gets larger, it takes exponentially more power. So let's say you add a second spherical gravity generator, it's not going to get you out to 800 meters. It might get you out to 6. And from there, you're talking exponentially needing more gravity generators to increase. But I mean, you could do some really cool things with that. You could do like a slingshot accelerator, where you could set up a spherical gravitational field, and you hit it kind of on the outside, circle around through it, and then have it slingshot you out the other side. You would be able to get up to some pretty massive speeds doing that, especially if you had a strong enough spherical field of gravity. And then, of course, for the people who want to set up something like the gravity shield, so that if you're using rock or stone, whatever, or whatever it happens to be, an item that's affected by gravity as a weapon, then some people are using the spherical gravity generators, or the regular ones even, as a force to push and keep those things from hitting their ship. Well, if you could just have a spherical gravity generator set to negative force, and then you could either adjust the field's strength, maybe without adjusting its sphere of influence, then you could have a small localized gravitational field that was extremely strong to make a pretty good shield. Um, and then probably the same thing could be done for the regular gravity generators in some way as well. Just some way so that you could have like the master slave and have them feed their gravitational power into it. I think it would cause some really cool things. But one of the things that I think really needs to happen is basically with all of these things that have mass. Now, what is this thing sitting over here? Something take some damage? Oh, it did. I guess I did, or maybe I didn't finish spraying it. I don't know. But like, what was I hitting there? So maybe you would. Oh man, I just lost my train of thought. But you'd be able to really get a good gravitational shield going. Oh, now I remember. I think ships should be affected by gravity. Like I've got my small ship here, and as long as its inertial dampeners are on, it should be able to sit there and not be affected by gravity. But once I turn my inertial dampeners off, I should be affected by a gravity field. And that's where you come into like a slingshot, getting caught by a gravitational field, being pushed away by gravitational fields, or being pulled in, something like a tractor beam. So using gravity, if you had 10 gravity generators and you localized them to a small cone basically, and you had landing gear with auto lock on it, you could get close enough to another ship, turn on your gravity generators, which would suck that ship towards you, and then it would get caught by your landing gear on auto lock with infinite newtons for break free. Anyway, just some ideas. Alright, let's go ahead and go inside, and I'm going to replace those laser turrets, since they are not usable. Oh, I'm going to go this way. Here we go. Yeah, so, I mean, those are some of the things that come to my mind for gravity. And so, if any of you have ever read the Piers Anthony books, Bio of a Space Tyrant, one of the key technologies that allowed for colonization of the solar system and beyond was the ability to counteract the effects of gravity, using a gravitational lens to change the focus. And so basically you were able to have a negative gravitational force upon yourself, making your ship exceeding, basically have a negative weight, so it would be pushed away from larger objects. Anyway, so if you're young children, please don't read that book. If you're adults, have at it. It may be hard to find. It's an old series of books. Most people know Piers Anthony for maybe like his Xanth series. Ooh, don't bump your head. Maybe some of his other more kid-friendly things. Well, I can tell you that Bio of a Space Tyrant is not kid-friendly. But it's a great story. I think probably my favorite Piers Anthony story is a book called Ghost, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the 1990s movie. Absolutely nothing. But yeah, it's an interesting story about space travel. And probably the most interesting aspect of it is that they're traveling through time rather than space, but they stay still in space, and basically the universe revolves around their ship. Really, really an interesting concept. And yeah, so check it out, Ghost by Piers Anthony. Two other books that are almost impossible to find is Chthon, Chthon. I'll spell it. So it's pronounced Thon. And then there is a sequel to it called Thor, spelled like that. Very, very interesting set of books there. So if you need something to read, try to find those. You may need to go to a used bookstore. You may need to go to your library. Probably, you can probably find Ghost at a library. Chthon and Thor, they were kind of small. They might be considered like novellas. Small, but very, very interesting stories there. I would say other favorite books would be, I believe it's Orson Scott Card. Now, when I say that name, some of you might be thinking, oh, Ender's Game. And yeah, Ender's Game is a really good book. But, and I've even read, I think, 90% of the series. But it's a book called The Door into Summer. It's also a novella, and just a really, really interesting take on humans and time travel, and really, really interesting. I also read the Alvin Maker series, and that one was quite the interesting science fiction. Definitely that one gotta have an open mind about. But yeah, so I love to read. Always have. Currently, I'm reading the Game of Thrones series. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Let's go ahead and get this base redesigned. Basically, like I mentioned, I think I'm going to make this the Deathroid. So it's going to be kind of like the Death Star, but based off of an asteroid. And I wonder if I could use enough lights to make it look like I'm shooting a laser beam. That would be kind of cool. Maybe put like, I don't know, 3x3 of the large spotlights onto a rotor and just have it like spin around. I don't know. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see. Okay, recent movies. Most recent movie I watched was Captain America, Winter Soldier. Interesting twist there. The fact that, I don't know. It's out on video now. So, I mean, is it considered? Do I need to say spoilers?